Hey everybody, Braden here, bringing you a cheap opinion in politics, and today we're going to talk about the Bill Clinton economy, which is to say it's pretty much going to be gone starting tomorrow, hence why this was definitely the one video needing to be made, because most people won't know about this. I've already linked the description of the article of what I'll be talking about below. Go check it out. You find some interesting aspects in there. So in 2018, we finished the year with about 2.9% GDP growth. The job creation per month on average was about 223,000 jobs. So for 2019, Q1, so that means we got three more quarters yet to go, but the growth for Q1 was about 3.1% GDP. And then the jobs so far average this year in 2019 is about 164,000 jobs a month. So definitely significantly lower so far than what we saw in 2018. But uh, in July, this will become the longest growing economy in U.S. history. So the one that was number one for a very long time was Bill Clinton, hence the by Clinton. So it's no longer. This one starting tomorrow becomes the new growing one, which that kind of leads into where the second part of this video is going, which is to say how much longer. There was an interesting article that came out a while back. Jamie Dimon, who runs Chase Bank, kind of was making the decision saying, well, economic expansions typically only last about 8 to 10 years on average. This one, it doesn't always have to be the rule. And he was thinking, it could go on. The economic expansion could maybe go on another couple of years or so, from what he was saying, which is interesting. And that also leads to the and why you see a picture of Gandalf up here. We're gonna talk about the Fed chair. For people that don't really know who that is, it's Jerome Powell. He is the current Fed chair. He really does, in a way, look like Sir Ian McKellen. Hence why, if you don't know the name Jerome Powell, just think Gandalf. And there's been a change on Fed policy, and particularly when you mention the Federal Reserve, you're going to talk about monetary policy and the money supply, so to speak. And so a part of that is the Fed fund rate. Well, since Janet Yellen, the Federal Reserve a few years ago had been raising interest rates, and then by the time of the beginning of this year, the Federal Reserve basically kind of took a little hiatus on it. Well, we'll take a break. So the Fed fund rate right now is at like 2.5% or so, and now, not too long ago, at this past Fed meeting in June, Jerome Gandalf, I'm just go to Gandalf. Gandalf basically was saying, "Hey, yeah, I think we might actually go and lower rates." Now, that's a big switch from no, we're pretty much ready to be raising interest rates. That's how Jerome Powell was when he first came to in the 2 years time that he's been there, to now we're basically reversing to lowering lowering interest rates, the talk of doing that, depending on how the economy goes. The economy has in some regards slowed down, at least on the job numbers. We'll have to wait and see how GDP goes. But this goes back to my 2020 video, which is to say it's the economy for Trump. This is really going to be the biggest challenge for him, is keeping the economy going, because you have to remember, in 2018 you've got deregulation going on, you have the Trump tax cuts going on, you have a massive increase in military spending going on, and so all of that is a real kick to the economy that almost got us to 3% growth, and for the year, not just on a quarterly basis. And so, it'll be interesting to see for Trump going ahead to the 2020 election, the economy is really going to be key. And having those discussions, and one of the reasons why Jerome Powell has kind of made the switch on maybe cutting interest rates is because of Trump. And I'm very well convinced, I would not be surprised if Donald Trump, outside of what we can see on Twitter, has, in a way, pressured Jerome Powell to, hey, you can do whatever you want after 2020, but take it easy on hiking up the interest rates there. I got my election coming up, and don't judge President Trump on this. He's not the only one to do it. Even President Reagan before 1984 election, and that was of course going to be versus Walter Mondale. Um, Went and talked to the Fed chair at that time about not hiking up interest rates, kind of taking it easy on it. So this idea that there's the independence of the Fed, the Fed shouldn't be influenced by politics is silly from my perspective. It does happen, and it even happened with regards to Trump. I would not be surprised, but that's going to be really key. Like I said, as far as 2018 went, it was a really good year. 2019. Like I said, now that we're heading into July, this is kind of uncharted territory. If anyone had the right answer of what the economy was really going to do, uh, they'd have more money and more wealth than anyone really could imagine. And that's the overall point that we'll have to see looking into 2020. Is where's the recession? Because that's typically what we'd now be looking at now that we're going outside the 10-year cycle. But anyways, thought I'd provide y'all with that. Check it out in the article below, and I'll see y'all next time on Wednesday. And this has been the reality of the world.